Alright people, how we doing? Welcome to the Sunday live stream. How you doing tonight? Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, let us know in the chat. Davinia, Hedy, Chris, good to see you there already. Hope you've had a good week. And we'll start by customarily dipping into Keith's corrupt lounge of fondue. Solidarity, everyone. Right, take it away, Keith. We're not sure who paid for the fondue at the moment, or the overall party. Might look into that one. Might have to do some investigative research to the source of these culinary treats that Keith's putting out. There's a couple of clues over Keith's right shoulder as we look at him. Blur and Mandelson. So yeah, there's been more revelations of freebies, gratuities, bribes, if you want to give it the proper title. I'll be taking a look at a few of those examples as Keith and his lot go to conference in Liverpool. That's kicked off today. Bit of a look at that as well as why they're prohibiting certain journalists from going into the conference. Did you hear about that? Well, if not, I'm going to be taking a look at that as well. Good to see you're all doing well in the chat. Yeah, Davinia, I might check out that series. Thanks for the recommendation. If I can find the time to start to binge watch a new series, that is. Is it Italian cheese? Good question, Chris. I don't know. Non lo so, as they say in Italy. E questo formaggio italiano? Non lo so. What else we're going to be looking at? Oh yes, of course, we could be on the verge of World War III. Almost forgot to mention. No, seriously though, this has escalated as predicted, with exchanges between Lebanon and Israel as we speak. It's getting pretty worrying. It's getting pretty worrying. Becca, welcome to the chat as well, and Kit. Great to see you both tonight. Just wait for a couple more people to arrive before we go through usual clips, articles and stuff. Armageddon out of here. Yeah, nice one, Chris. Always good for a pun, especially on Bruce at 10 weekday streams. Thanks a lot everyone who's checked out the recent video as well, and thanks for your comments. I saw some comments from members and subscribers alike, so thanks a lot for those, everyone. I'll try and get back to as many comments as I can, as always. Yeah, if you've not seen that one already, please do check it out. It's about Jez Phillips' attempt to try and defend Keith here on mainstream media. There's going to be a couple more examples of that on tonight's live stream as well. So from Jess Phillips, we go to Bridget Phillipson, who I'm going to be starting off focusing on. There's a couple of examples of where she's been getting her money from. Who could have possibly seen this coming? It's almost like this Labour government's just the same as the Tories. No, of course, this is all coming to fruition now in a manner that we saw coming. Got a comedy clip lined up in a moment as well. That's the latest from Matt Green about all of these gifts. First off, of course, a customary thanks to all members on the channel. So thanks everybody for your recent support. Welcome to new members who joined recently as well. If you want to join this list of people in solidarity, then you can do so for just 99 pence. Please click the perks button to find out some of the advantages of becoming a member on the channel. And while I'm at it, just a quick reminder, hit the like button and please share it on social media to help the content reach more people. To boost on the algorithm. Yeah, but that's a good point. Knowing Keith, I'm not too sure if there'd be a vegan option for the fondue. There's a little path here. How's the sound looking? Just noticed a couple of comments in the chat about the sound. Everything coming through? Yeah, I think it was when I put the members video on. Might have to just compress that a little bit. When you have lots of things playing over the top of other things, then the software can get a bit temperamental, shall we say. Right, thanks for the heads up on the sound issues, good people. Welcome, FSM is the dog, great to see you back again. Yeah, just getting started. Kicking off with a comedy clip in a moment. And then on to Bridget Phillipson, who's been in receipt of, well, it's been 14 grand for a birthday party, Taylor Swift tickets, this kind of thing. Let's kick off with Matt Green then. Okay, that's enough fondue for now, Keith. Thank you very much. You corrupt neoliberal shithouse, you. Right.
So, Minister, £22 billion black hole. Sorry? Everything we're doing is because the Tories left a £22 billion black hole. Is that why Keir Starmer couldn't buy his own glasses? Well, why don't you ask him? Well, you're here for the government. I don't do the Prime Minister's shopping. It seems that neither does he. Don't you want the Prime Minister to be able to see properly? He didn't see this might cause a scandal. Come on. The point is, surely, that when you were in opposition, you criticised people like Boris Johnson for accepting gifts from rich donors. And yet here you are doing the same thing. Is that not hypocrisy? To be fair, Keir Starmer is very giftable. What? You know, some people are lovable or punchable. Keir is very giftable. People just love giving him stuff. Why? Have you never bought someone a present? Well, yes, of course, at Christmas or something. And was that somehow corrupt? Did you expect something in return? Well, yes, they usually get you a present too. Well, Baron Ali is already a lord. What else is he expecting to get? I've no idea, but surely that's not the point. It's the appearance that matters. But Keir has declared all of the free gifts. It's all out in the open. So if something is declared, it's not corrupt. Exactly. Isn't that the kind of argument the Tories used to make? That was different. Why? Because they didn't declare everything, and also because we actually mean it. What? Look, Keir Starmer is a former Director of Public Prosecutions. He knows all about crime and corruption, and he's so not corrupt that he can take a gift and feel absolutely happy doing nothing in return. Now, that takes a special kind of strength. Okay, but even if it's not corrupt, is it not just a bit tin-eared? Taking freebies when you're on over 160 grand a year and you've been talking about making tough decisions on spending, like cutting the winter fuel payments. He's the Prime Minister. It's not safe for him to watch football from the terraces. He needs to go in the hospitality box. But shouldn't he pay for that? Have you seen the price of them? They're not called corporate boxes for nothing. Will he also be getting free tickets for Oasis? He's the Prime Minister, not God. Thank you, Minister. Next up, as a bitter row engulfs Whitehall over the pay of Sue Gray, we ask, are Labour special advisers so addicted to briefing against the government that they just can't stop? Even now, they're actually a part of it.
Good stuff. MattGreenComedy.com even. Check him out if you don't follow his stuff already. Yeah, glasses, football matches, all sorts. You name it. Keith will take it. And nobody ever wants anything in return. Of course they don't. And well, we'll get straight into this Bridget Phillipson issue. There's a couple of interviews she's done today. Again, similar to the Jess Phillips one. Poor responses. And there's so many examples coming out now of this. It's not too shocking.
You are in a privileged position as a Member of Parliament. You will sometimes be offered the opportunity to go to events such as Wimbledon. I was invited as Education Secretary. Shadow ministers are often given similar invitations, and government ministers are often given such invitations. It was declared. I appreciate it is a privilege to be there, but I was very much there in my role as Education Secretary. What about Taylor Swift? Look,
okay. How does being Education Secretary link to free Wimbledon tickets, Bridget? What's the link there? No, it's corporate hospitality.
I'll be honest, it was a hard one to turn down. I appreciate there was big demand for the tickets. It was a privilege to be there. One of my children, was keen to go along. It's hard to say no if you're offered tickets in those circumstances.
She had to go because her daughter really likes Taylor Swift. She has to take bribes. She's no other choice. Incredible. Incredible. And whether it is declared or not, just the optics of it are appalling. Appalling. Why he's slashing winter fuel payments. Continuing with 2-child benefit cap. I think some of the unions are trying to push for a vote on the winter fuel payments. Hopefully, they can persuade Starmer to do a U-turn on these issues. But it just looks so bad when they're taking so much, while they take things away from some people who are earning about £11,000-12,000 a year, pensioners. Disgusting.
But it was declared. I've been clear about that, but I do recognise that, I'm in a fortunate position to be able to receive it.
Yeah, that clip from ITV News there. She also made an appearance, where are we? On Trevor Phillips's show today on Sky. Thanks to Saul Staniforth for sharing this little clip via Twitter. And again, it's more of the same. It's just indefendable. And complete hypocrisy as well. If it was the Tories doing the kind of things that Labour are doing, obviously we know what they'd be saying. There's a lot of examples of that as well. Just a sec. Sorry, I'll sort the sound out. There we go.
Your declaration showed that you received £14,000 from the Labour donor Lord Ali last year. What for exactly?
Yep. So I received that money from Wahid Ali, who's a long-standing Labour peer. It was used to fund 2 events, all of which was declared properly and thoroughly. That's why that information is in the public domain. The first event was ahead of my birthday, so I was turning 40. I thought it was a good opportunity to get people together in a professional context. So it was journalists, trade unionists, education people, MPs and...
14 grand for a birthday party. I don't know about you, brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen. £14,000 for a birthday party. Are you kidding me? As if that's an excuse as well. Yeah. Oh, it's okay. Just keep taking tens of thousands of pounds. It's your birthday. Sick.
Shadow Cabinet. The second event was an event that I held also again for lobby journalists, for people in the education world, as part of a reception. That's, you know, it was in a work context.
I think Phillips, Trevor Phillips, I should say. We've got too many Phillipsons and everything going around. Trevor Phillips is going to get onto this point as well in a minute. But what she thinks is a valid reason is just a revelation that they've been taking this kind of money for decades now. So 25 years, that was when Ali became a Labour peer. That means it was under Blair. Blair made him a peer, and this has been going on ever since those days. And we're supposed to accept that as a valid reason. Oh, it's been happening for so long now. You know, he's been a Labour peer for 25 years.
You know.
That's a very nice thing, but if a Tory had done that 2 years ago, I know exactly what you'd be saying to me this morning. They should pay for their own birthday parties.
Look, this was in a work context. I didn't even invite my own...
You just said the same thing.
Yeah,
Come
look,
on.
I didn't even... my own family...
Context birthday party for lobbyists. What the hell are you talking about, Bridget? What is this psychobabble? Honestly. Super Tiny, welcome to the chat. Great to see you this evening.
Family didn't come to that. It was in a work context. I celebrated my actual 40th birthday with my family. We went for a pizza. I celebrated with my kids. This was where I got together.
You went out for a pizza with your kids to celebrate £14,000? Where does that add up? We've heard, excuses. I'm not even going to get into the Prince Andrew thing. When in trouble, say you went for a pizza. But 14 grand, Bridget? Come on. How stupid do you think people are? I don't know about you as well, but inviting journalists along to your 14 grand 40th birthday party. Yeah, she's taking the pizza. Absolutely.
Their colleagues, Journalists, actually, trade unionists, education people. It was in a very different kind of context. Wahid is a Labour peer. He's been a Labour peer for over 25 years. This is fully...
Just very quickly, the way it looks as well is, if I'm getting this right, she's been given 14 grand by Lord Ali, and then she's used the 14 grand to invite lobbyists to her 40th birthday party to offer her more bribes. She's paying them to lobby her via the party, the birthday party. What the...
Transparent. Honestly,
with respect, I think we might be digging a slightly bigger hole here. You've got a lot of people who knew you might be the education secretary, and you've got them in a room. You're paying for them to lobby you. I mean, the point about all of this is that to the average viewer, it feels dodgy. It feels like this is now an event for lobbyists.
No, that's absolutely not what it was. This was an opportunity for people...
That is how you described it. That is how you described it. You said that they were there to lobby you. There were journalists there, trade union representatives as well, at your 14 grand 40th birthday party. That's exactly how you described it, Bridget. You said that just a few moments ago.
Come together to have a reception where we can talk about, for example, issues around education. These kinds of things happen regularly. It was all declared in line with the rules and fully transparent. This was 2 events in a work context, and the information is there for the public to see.
Well,
in a work context, at your 40th birthday party. No. I'm not buying that. I'm not buying that at all.
You gotta be fucking kidding.
Yeah, 14 grand is more than a lot of people would make in a year. Davinia, for 14 grand, you'd go on holiday to Hawaii. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money. Oh, it's nothing. We've been doing this for 25 years, you know. There is more. Angela Rayner. Just bear with me a moment. Just resize the screen. Angela Rayner's been brought into this. So she's used a donor's apartment for a holiday. It was a work holiday, of course, you know. Going off of what Bridget Phillipson said.
Well, first of all, I didn't go to New York with another person. That person went to New York and I met up with them, and I met up with a number of friends while I was in New York. It was a personal holiday and I think I followed the rules. In fact, I went above that and I wanted to do that to be transparent about the connection that I had of the use of that apartment.
But they stayed in that apartment. Sam Tarry, who used to be a Labour MP, stayed in that apartment and you didn't declare it. Did you break the rules?
I don't believe I broke any rules. I had the use of the apartment and I disclosed that I had the use of the apartment. In fact, I think I was overly transparent because I think it was important, despite it being a personal holiday, because that person, as a friend, had already donated to me in the past for my deputy leadership.
So you're not sorry for doing that? You're not sorry for that? You're not saying to people this morning, you know what, maybe that was a misjudgment. Maybe I should have declared absolutely everything, because the rules, I'll just read that to our viewers. Members should register in this category any visit, whether accompanying the member or not. It says pretty clearly, if someone else is with you, you're meant to declare it, and you didn't.
It says if you're on parliamentary business or it's in connection with your parliamentary duties. That's how I understood it. It was a private holiday that I think it was important that people knew because I'd had a relationship where I'd had a donation from that individual.
And again, with the kind of salaries that they're on, you know, surely they can find a hotel when they go on holiday and not have to use wealthy people's apartments, whether they declared it or not. And it all comes down to the fact that they don't just do this out of the kindness of their hearts. They always want something in return. That's how lobbying and bribery works, of course. Just a couple of points from the article. So she'd stayed in, and again, this is Lord Ali again, with Sam Tarry, who was then Labour MP for Ilford South. That was last December. Rayner said she understood why people were frustrated and angry about the issue. Well, make your mind up whether it was legitimate or not, or whether people have a genuine reason to be frustrated. I'll go on to a bit more about the conference shortly as well. But whatever Rayner believes, the rules are what they are, whether she believes that she broke the rules or not. Her opinion doesn't change the regulation. She says she's promised nothing and gave nothing in return. But I can't buy that. I can't buy that. It just goes on to say a bit about Bridget Phillipson as well. We've already had a look at that. Right, let's move on. I've still got a few more bookmarks and things to get through. This is just another one via Twitter. And this is so bad that even for the likes of GB News, it's like shooting fish in a barrel. And being able to criticise Starmer's Labour, this is how bad it's gotten. I'll just readjust the screen there. Just make that a bit bigger for you. This is from Tory Fibs, and it's Phillipson again. And let's just restart this.
I'm going to ask you about this story in the Mail on Sunday, the suggestion that Lord Ali paid thousands for Education Secretary's 40th birthday party. Is that true?
So what Lord Ali, who's a long-standing Labour peer, paid for was 2 events when I was Shadow Education Secretary. One ahead of my 40th birthday. Thought was a good opportunity in a professional context to get journalists, education people, trade unionists and MPs along.
Yes.
The second event, a reception for journalists, including those working in the education press, again in a professional context, to discuss the work of...
So the birthday element was what then? I don't quite get it. It was an official do for you as Shadow Education Secretary, but you also had some cake.
Oh, we didn't have any cake.
Oh, there's a picture of you with some cake. Is that a different...
That was on my actual birthday.
Oh, got it, okay.
In my office.
Ali, so you do have a birthday...
Right, okay. Another party. How many parties has she had?
Celebration, but it's part of a department...
It was when I was shadow. It was when I was shadow education secretary, so it was ahead of the election. I should just say I didn't even invite my own family along to this. It was very much in a professional
Has Lord
context.
Ali ever donated to your wardrobe, your spectacles? Has he ever loaned you an apartment in London or New York?
No, everything that's been donated to me has been declared in line with the rules. What I would say about Lord Ali is that he's been a Labour peer for, I think, over 25 years.
Yes.
Donates to the Labour Party, to Labour politicians, because he wants a Labour government.
But he got a temporary Downing Street pass. From Sue Gray, we hear today, the Labour Party have been very reluctant to say who sanctioned this pass. It was Sue Gray. That happened after he donated £10,000 to Leon Conlon's campaign. Leon Conlon is now the MP for Beckenham and Penge. He's also Sue Gray's son. There's something quite murky about that. I think if that arrangement had happened under a Tory government, ministers like you would be on the airwaves.
How's about that? How's about that, comrades? Sue Gray gives a pass to someone who supports a campaign that her son was standing in. And don't tell me that that isn't nepotism or corruption. Absolutely not. Even GBBs can point that out. Wow.
Having a real go at the opposition about that.
I think you've got a Labour peer, a very, very long-standing Labour peer, who donates to Labour politicians,
Well,
Labour
he only
candidates.
donated to two campaigns, and one of them was Conlon's.
No,
he's Sue Gray's. In the election campaign,
Sure.
as far as just for the election campaign, he gives money to Sue Gray's son, and the next thing we know,
It's cash for access. Of course it's cash for access. Bridget. It's plain for all to see. Ogham the Bold, welcome to the chat. How you doing? Great to see you. Yeah, just back onto this, you know, the upright, hands across the torso pose. Just keep smiling and mentioning how long Ali's been a Labour peer for, and hope that this will all blow over.
he gets a Downing Street pass. You have to admit that looks a bit dodgy.
He's donated to lots of Labour candidates and politicians.
Why does he need a Downing Street pass?
As I understand it, he no longer has a Downing
Why
Street
did he
pass.
have one?
I genuinely don't know the
So we can have a
circumstances
look at
of
the
that.
farmers' wardrobes, or
Come on.
Oh, come on. As if these aren't legitimate questions, which they are. And it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Just want to play those last few seconds again.
As I understand it, he no longer has a Downing
why
Street
did
pass.
he have one?
I genuinely don't know the
we can have a look
circumstances
at
of that.
We know the circumstances. He bought it. He bought it. Don't think Sue Gray just stuck a pin in a piece of paper with a list of people's names on it and, just happened to land on the guy who's financially backing my son in his election campaign. Well, what are the odds of that happening? What are the chances? Politics Clive, great to see you here as well.
farmers' wardrobes, or
Come on. No, I think the reason that he donates to Labour politicians is because he wanted to secure a Labour government. That's what he's done over 2 decades.
all right?
And then when you get into government, he doesn't want anything back. That's what you expect us to believe. That's what you expect the British public to believe. People who voted for your party, people who voted for you and your constituency, that's what you want us to believe, Bridget. Well, I, for one, don't. And I'm sure there are lots of people out there who share that sentiment as well. Unfathomable. Right, so there is the conference going on as well, like I said. And it kind of ties into this lobbying and bribery that's going on. And I mentioned when we started the stream, this is from Declassified UK, who've been barred. An investigative journalist has been barred from attending the party conference. Let's see what's happening with this. Okay, John McAvoy will not be allowed into the ruling party's gathering when it starts in Liverpool. Well, it started today. Labour officials have decided the move's drawn condemnation from the United Union of Journalists, the NUJ, and Reporters Without Borders. It comes weeks after McAvoy exposed the influence of the super-rich party donors and pro-Israel lobby groups over Keir Starmer's cabinet. I do have the article in question lined up. I'll just go a little bit further through this. So they've said if the new government is really committed to open democracy, it needs to guarantee fair and free access to the political process for a wide range of media, not just for the mainstream. And David Ayrton, who's a senior organiser at the NUJ, also said it's important to uphold press freedom, and therefore it's an imperative that bona fide news gatherers and journalists such as John McAvoy are not excluded from events such as the Labour Party conference. It's imperative that the Labour Party is a key component of political life in Britain, notwithstanding the fact that they are the governing party, seek to uphold the principles associated with the free operation of the media. Such a stance integrally entails the need to facilitate those who may be critical when they seek to operate legitimacy in their work as a professional journalist. So he applied a while back on the 25th of August, paid the £90 application fee. That's how much it costs if you want to go and report from the conference. I won't be going over there myself personally to report inside or outside. They then said he'd have to go through some security checks. And then on the 3rd of September, he was told that media passes are for accredited journalists and photographers with a relevant portfolio only. We reserve the right to reject an application if we cannot find evidence the applicant is a working journalist or photographer with a political portfolio or working on behalf of a relevant media outlet. Well, Declassified UK have been going for a while now. So that's bullshit. The £90 has been refunded, at least. But it's been very selective about who lets go into the conference, and this is why, really. This is what Declassified have reported on previously. This is a report from John McAvoy himself, which came out on the 9th of July this year. Half of Keir Starmer's cabinet are funded by Israel. There you can see Shut Up Wes Streeting on the right, Peter Kyle and Jonathan Reynolds. So 13 out of 25 cabinet members are lobbied by pro-Israel lobbyists. The list of recipients includes Prime Minister Keir Starmer, his deputy Angela Rayner, Chancellor Rachel Reeves, Foreign Secretary David Lammy and Home Secretary Yvette Cooper. Incidentally, out of those, Lammy receives the most, the Foreign Secretary, around £120,000 that we know of, as I've mentioned before, on my left eye. Jonathan Reynolds, who will oversee arms exports to Israel as UK Trade Secretary, is another beneficiary. Well, what a coincidence. Alongside Labour's election mastermind, God, I don't know if I'd say that, Pat McFadden, whose responsibilities now include national security. Election mastermind. I don't think so. Some of the donations were provided by Labour Friends of Israel, a lobby group which we all know about. Takes MPs on so-called fact-finding missions to the region. Reeves, McFadden Reynolds and Technology Secretary Peter Kyle were recently listed as vice chairs of LFI. Other major funders include pro-Israel businessman Trevor Chin and Stuart Roden. The total value of donations amounts to over £300,000. And there they are. And LFI doesn't have to disclose its funders, but it was revealed during an undercover Al Jazeera documentary in 2017 to have close relations with the Israel Embassy in London. If you've not seen the Labour Files, fantastic documentary from Al Jazeera, then do check that out. Starmer says Labour Friends of Israel are an invaluable source of energy and ideas for me and my team. Ideas like keep selling them weapons so that they can continue to commit an illegal occupation and other war crimes. Is that what you mean? Wolfpet, great to see you back on the channel. Hope you're very well this evening. How you doing? A parliamentary advisor who went on the delegation told Open Democracy there was a clear and obvious agenda to make sure people had pro-Israel stance going into government. The staffer added that after returning from the trip, a senior figure at the Israeli embassy asked, "Did you enjoy the trip we sent you on?" Couldn't be any clearer what's going on there. Shame on all of them. Nandy's in on this as well, of course. MP for Wigan. So, I mean, this is a quality article, and declassified.org are a legitimate source of information. They are legitimate journalists that we're talking about here. So Labour's reason for rejecting their application to report is clearly down to this expose piece, really. And I guess while we're on that topic, we can just nip over and see some of the latest from Israel's attacks on Lebanon. Now, I think, despite what the mainstream media say, or in this case, it's what they don't say, despite what they don't say, it's obvious that Israel have declared war on Lebanon. All that we've heard from most of the mainstream sources just before I show you this clip, all that we've heard from the mainstream sources is that Israel haven't officially responded, to the tech attacks that took place on the pages, the walkie-talkies, solar panels, vehicles, all kinds of devices, which in itself was a war crime, of course. Mentioned that on previous live streams and such on the channel. But what they're not saying is that Yoav Gallant, I believe it was, came out and said that Israel's entering a new phase of the war. He used the word war, referring to Israel's actions against Lebanon. And I think that's as clear that they've not officially declared it, but they have declared it in a certain fashion. Because Israel see this as a war. They believe that they are at war with Palestine more than they are occupying it. So to use that kind of language, I think spells it clear. And this is what we feared would happen. As many times as US delegates and such have been to Qatar for the ceasefire negotiations and tried to imply that they're on the brink of a ceasefire in the region, things just keep getting worse and worse. Israel continue to ride roughshod over international law and bring more and more countries into this. And now Lebanon is the latest one. But when you take a look at this clip, this is particularly scary, just in terms of how quickly this has escalated. There have been retaliatory attacks by Lebanon onto Israel as well. It was reported today, I think around 100 rockets were launched from Lebanon into Israel. But at the same time, things like this are happening. And what you're about to see in this clip is a tactical nuclear missile. Yes, you heard that right. It's a tactical nuclear missile. Take a look at this. So you see that, wow. I mean, this isn't a sunrise or a sunset we're talking about here. That's fire, you know. And you can actually see, if you look at the clouds, you can see the blast wave ripple through the air with this obviously tremendous release of energy in this tactical nuclear warhead. Do you see that blast wave just going overhead then? And then obviously the sound falls. Wow.
مثل ما هي لايف.
And that's a mushroom cloud. Just take a look again. Blast wave. That's miles away.
مثل ما هي
Sound
لايف.
is deafening. This is Ali Hashim who's posted this video. I'll just mute that while I take a look at some of the comments on the vid. No, it's not Russia or Ukraine. It's Lebanon. But that's terrifying. That's terrifying. And I think now we're just more or less looking at an undeclared war in the region. Declaration of war these days seems to be an old-fashioned thing. It's never really done. Obviously, Ukraine are at war with Russia. There was no official declaration there either. Putin just engaged in what he described as a military operation, a special military operation, wasn't it? But what you see is one country just starts to attack another or invade another. They don't declare war. But that certainly looks like warfare to me. That certainly doesn't look like peace, does it, ladies and gentlemen? Brothers and sisters. And also declarations like this from Israel as well. They just show how deluded this mindset is, how fanatical they really are. This is the Minister of Education for Israel. It does have subtitles. They don't care. They don't give a fudge.
לצרפתים ולאחרים, מה שנקרא, ממדינות העולם שטוענות את זה, אין שום הבדל בין חיזבאללה ללבנון. לבנון תושמד לאור כמו שהדברים מתקדמים. ואני אומר את זה אפילו עכשיו בצורה מאוד בוטה. אנחנו באירוע שבו לבנון הולכת לקראת השמדה. לא תהיה אותה לבנון כמו שהם מכירים. אני לא הולך להתעסק בצייד קטיושות של חיזבאללה. את המחיר לתוקפנות מאדמת לבנון תשלם מדינת לבנון.
סליחה, השר קיש, אתה השתמשת במילה, ביקשת שאני לא אקטע אותך. תושמד. השמדה יש לה במינוח העברי, אתה יודע,
Annihilation. Yeah, that's a pretty important word. Annihilation. And they're already well practiced and well versed in this as well with what they've been doing to Palestine for decades. And that is how warped their mindset is. They feel like they've got to completely wipe everybody out. They've got to annihilate an entire region, civilians and military installations alike. They don't distinguish between civilians, the military, or terrorists at all. To Israel, they're all one and the same thing. And that is how they act, that is how they treat them. Indiscriminately. And where Palestine's concerned, they've even killed their own hostages with how indiscriminate their attacks have been. The showers of bombs all over the place. Attacks on civilians, attacks on journalists, deliberately targeted.
שר הביטחון אמר תחזור לימי האבן.
אתה יודע מה? אני מתקן את דבריי. לא תושמד. לבנון כמו שאנחנו מכירים אותה.
They will send it back to the Stone Age. Lebanon, as we know it, will not exist, he says. These people are psychopaths. They're absolute psychopaths and they need to be stopped.
תהיה קיימת, לבנון תשלם את המחיר הכבד בגלל חיזבאללה. ואני מתקן את דבריי, לא תושמד, אבל אני מדייק.
The lunatics. The lunatics. Hope you could all read that okay. Well, I'll just, it's only a minute long, I'll just play it again and I'll read out what it's saying. So he says to the French and to others from the countries of the world who claim that there is no difference between Hezbollah and Lebanon. The way things are progressing at the moment, Lebanon will be annihilated, and I say this even now in a very blunt way. We are in a type of event where Lebanon is going towards annihilation. It will not be the same Lebanon as we know it. I'm not going to deal with hunting down rockets and nukes. The price of aggression from Lebanon's territory will be paid by the state of Lebanon. And then the interviewer says, excuse me, Mr. Kitch, you asked me not to interrupt you, but he asked what he means by annihilated. The term annihilation in Hebrew is quite indistinct. Lebanon will be sent back to the Stone Age, like I said. So he corrects himself from saying that it won't be annihilated, but that it won't exist, which is more or less the same thing. He tried to correct himself and use a different turn of phrase, but essentially it does mean the same thing. Sorry if you couldn't read the subtitles there. You right there, Bird's Nest Ratfest. Welcome to the stream as well. It should have been long apparent when they started targeting the young, which they have been doing, of course. Such a massive proportion of the casualties in Palestine have been children as well. A shocking amount of the people who've already been declared as dead are actually less than 1 year old, which is tragic. It really is. There's increasing domestic pressure, international pressure on Israel, though, and we've got to keep that up. And on that subject, we'll just head back to the clips. In one of the latest...
You are in a privileged position as a Member of Parliament. You will sometimes be offered the opportunity to go to events such as Wimbledon.
In Sweden, in Stockholm, Greta Thunberg's been one of the latest out on the march in support for Palestine. We can take a look at that.
Show me what the people looks like. Show me what power looks like.
And throw up those Palestine flags in the chat, please, if you will, good people. Show solidarity for Palestinians and for those suffering in Gaza. Solidarity.
Show me what democracy looks like. Show me what democracy looks like. Show me what the people look like. Show me what power looks like. One struggle, one fight, climate justice, human rights.
Phil McCracken, welcome to the chat. Hope you're doing well. Very good point as well. They said that the only goal was to eradicate Hamas. That's what they said. So why attack Lebanon? They're just full of it. They're just absolutely fanatic warmongers. That's what Zionism is. It's such an evil, aggressive force. And that kind of mindset in a state that has the backing of the United States of America, that has nuclear weapons, it's a really scary thing. But they never tell the truth. They always lie. And Netanyahu is just so thirsty for war. He believes it's the only thing that can save his career, with his approval rating having absolutely dropped to sub-basement level. I think about 75-80% of Israeli civilians want him to stand down at the moment, and he thinks that this is the only thing that can save his skin, as well as his diabolical psyche.
One struggle, one fight, climate justice, human rights.
Greta Thunberg there. Out in Stockholm again. I've still got a couple of bits to go through on the stream. Thanks a lot for sticking it out with me. Just another reminder, please do hit the thumbs up button and help the stream reach a wider audience. Share across your social media as well, if you'd be so kind. Thank you very much, good people. And thanks for sticking it out with me on the Sunday live stream. I nearly said Rose at 10 then. On the Sunday live stream. I'm your host, Lefty. It's great to be here with you this evening. Obviously, Greta Thunberg's known for protest on a range of issues, including Palestine, also climate as well. That was how she first came into the public eye. And I came across a great clip from someone called Chris Hedges, if you're not familiar with him. He's a great sociologist based in the States, so do check his stuff out. It was a really succinct clip. I think he puts this really well, so that's what I've got queued up next. But just before I do that, I want to give a massive shout out to Phil McCracken for that show of solidarity with the 10 memberships. Thank you very much, brother. That's a great way to support the channel as well as help our community grow, so hope you new members enjoy your perks as well. Thanks again to Phil McCracken for that solidarity. So this is Chris Hedges, and it just really puts together what modern protest is all about, whether it's environment, Palestine and such. Also this week it was reported that the Thwaites Glacier, known as the Doomsday Glacier, is on course for complete collapse. That's one of the latest terrifying statistics with the climate crisis specifically. But let's just hear what Chris has got to say.
Our only chance to overthrow corporate power and halt the looming ecocide comes from those who will not surrender to it, who are willing to be dismissed and reviled by a bankrupt liberalism. They expose the hollowness of the ruling class. They force the state to respond, evidenced when Parliament declared a climate emergency following mass protests organized by Extinction Rebellion and the decision by Dutch lawmakers to reduce fuel subsidies after the blockage of roadways. Those who accept risks, including long prison terms, penetrate the consciousness of the wider society, including the security organs that protect it. That penetration from the outside is impossible to measure, but it steadily erodes the foundations of power until what appears as a solid edifice seemingly crumbles overnight. The ossified systems of governance, evidenced in the United States by our corporate-managed elections, our system of legalized bribery, our commercialized press, and our captive judiciary, which has legalized gerrymandering, an updated version of Britain's 19th century rotten borough, exposes the political class as puppets of the ruling corporate cabal. As the system calcifies, it carries out ever more draconian repression. Reform through these structures is impossible.
Chris Hedges there. Sorry, that clip came to an abrupt end. But yeah, do check out his Chris Hedges report is what it's called. What that clip's taken from. Sorry, I'm semi-distracted here. Just looking in the chat. Yeah, it did say that Phil gifted 10 memberships, but it's only listed 5 people. I'm not too sure what's going on there. Just bear with me. Have a look at the... Just have a look at the stream. That should tell me. But it says 10 memberships on my viewer activity. So, yeah, it does look like 10 people have been gifted. I don't know why it's only listed 5, though. Bizarre. Never seen that happen before. Okay. I'll keep my left eye on that one. Ba-bum. Right, just quickly back to Palestine and the Labour conference. Just got another clip here before I start to bring the stream to a close, but please do stick it out with me. I'm going to be doing a redirect or raid if anyone's live after I've finished, so stay put, everybody. David Lammy was at the conference, and this is a sheer display of hypocrisy and crocodile tears. False outrage for outrage. It's obvious where public opinion is on a ceasefire in Gaza. There's overwhelming support for a ceasefire. But through lobbying, Lammy is tied to do the bidding of Israel, but he has to sort of try and play both sides, which he's doing very badly at the moment. So check out this speech when you just consider the pittance that was, what was it, an 9% reduction in arms sales to Israel, and that was before they carried out these atrocities on Lebanon that have been taking place over the last week. To now stand on that stage with crocodile tears and pretend to show genuine concern and compassion for Palestinians, it's an absolute affront. It really is. Just check the volumes coming through.
Conference last year, as we boarded trains up to Liverpool, we read the horrific news that Hamas terrorists had murdered around 1,200 Israelis and kidnapped 250 others. What has followed those atrocities is a horrific war. Tens of thousands of Palestinian women,
David, not a war,
and children killed and injured. Their homes turned to rubble, leaving Gaza a vision of hell on earth.
That you helped create.
Meanwhile, dozens of Israelis remain cruelly held captive, and Israel faces threats from all angles, with Iran and its proxies seeking to wipe Israel off the map. Conference last year, as we boarded trains up to Liverpool, we read the horrific news that Hamas terrorists had murdered around 1,200 Israelis.
Well, trying to play both sides of the, like, make your mind up. Make your mind up. Are you going to succumb to the lobbies, the people who are putting hundreds of thousands of pounds into your pockets alone, David Lammy, Foreign Secretary? Or are you going to do the morally right thing and support a ceasefire in Gaza, which has been declared illegal by international bodies, the UN, the ICJ, the ICC? It's not controversial by any stretch of the imagination to say that these acts are illegal. If you were truly concerned, you would 100% stop any arms sales to Israel, any financial support, any military support whatsoever. But if he did that, the next time he goes on a trip to Jerusalem, he might get snubbed by Benjamin Netanyahu again, as happened last time, when he dared to start to play both sides and criticise Israel's actions. But we know that he's bought and paid for. It was quite a rhetorical question that I was putting to you then. Unfortunately, we know he's bought and paid for by the lobbies. Phil, thanks for the update on your gifted memberships, and thanks again for those you've checked with YouTube and it's been confirmed that they went to subs. Right, that's good news. Fantastic. Hope you all enjoy your perks. Thanks again for that, Phil. Davinia, you've received gifted subs from channels you'd never watched. Interesting. It's my understanding it randomly selects a group of subscribers when you give memberships. Right, let's nip
our only chance to overthrow corporate power.
All right. Let's dip back in for some more fondue. Thanks again for everybody who's joined me on tonight's stream. If you're watching back on a replay, please consider using the super thanks as well. And don't forget to add a comment. I'll try and get back to as many of those as possible, as always. So more stuff to come next week. Bruise at 10. Have a bit more video content out as well. Thanks so much to once more for everybody who's watched that recent content. And for your comments as well. Always great to hear your thoughts and opinions on the content on the channel here on my left eye. I'll be back next Sunday with another live stream, of course, on the Sunday live stream. Thanks a lot for everybody who's joined the chat as well tonight. Polite and cordial, as always. Yeah, so whatever's going to happen over the next week, I'll try and keep you up to date with more stories, more content, live streams as well. I think PMQs is coming back on Wednesday, so we'll be returning with the Black Hole versus Postman Twat game. If you're not familiar with that, please do check out the playlist. There's a playlist of PMQ's live streams. They have been on and off lately with the summer break, and then they've had another week off last Wednesday. But we'll be seeing and counting how many times they say Black Hole versus Deliver. That's where Postman Twat comes into it. Just a bit of fun. Okay, but that's all from me for this week. Take care of yourselves. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, what's left of it. And my left, I'll be seeing you soon. Good evening. Stick around, I'm going to be raiding. No one's live at the moment. I'll just be redirecting into a Navara stream that they've got set up for tomorrow, if you want to check that out. Okay, that's definitely it from me, though, people. Have a good one. See you soon.